Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to tune your violin. The first thing everybody's going to need is to download a tuner onto your phone or tablet. So search for a violin tuner. You're going to see there are many options. They all pretty much do the same thing and are pretty simple to use once you get the hang of it. So the one I chose is this one called Tuner Lite, and that's what I'm going to be using in this video. So once you get that downloaded and up and running, I'll show you what it looks like. With this tuner I have to press this little fork symbol to get it in tuning mode. And it starts to register sounds I'm making. So up at the top it shows me the note that I'm playing. So if I pluck a string, that's going to indicate what note I'm playing up at the top. And the little needle moves from left to right, indicating pitch changes. So when it's leaning towards the left, the pitch is low. And when it's leaning towards the right, the pitch is high. The goal is to get it as close to the center as possible and to get that little light to turn green, showing me I'm in tune. So for example, with the violin, the string is G. So the note it's showing is G, if it's in tune. And that needle is pointing to the center, and the light is green. There are two ways to tune your instrument. One is by turning the pegs. The way the pegs work is when you turn them, you tighten or you loosen the strings, and when you tighten the strings, you make the pitch go higher, and when you loosen the strings, you make the pitch go lower. So the way we're going to do this is by holding the instrument in front of us like this, with the strings facing you. And when you have your instrument positioned in this way, when you turn the pegs away from you, that's going to tighten them. When you turn them towards you, that's going to loosen it. If you follow each of the strings, it will lead you to the peg that it is wound around, and the whole thing is fitted into this little hole in the peg box, and it is in there really firmly, and it's held together by friction. So as soon as you start to turn the pegs, you're going to move it out of place. You got to push it in to get it to stay. You cannot just turn the pegs tighter or looser. It won't stay in place if you don't push it. You might even experience the peg slipping away from you. The other thing to remember with pegs is that even the smallest motion, smallest turn, can make a huge change in the sound. It's important to be careful and to move slowly and in very, very tiny increments, because going a little bit too far can cause the string to snap by winding it up too much and causing too much tension. Takes a little practice, but you'll get it. That's how the pegs work. And the other method of tuning is with the fine tuners. This is the simpler way, but the fine tuners can only change the sound by a small amount. So if it's way out of tune, you can't just do it with fine tuners. You have to use the pegs to tune it. More than likely, you will be using both, doing most of the work with the pegs and then finishing the rest of the way with the fine tuners. They work in a pretty simple way. When you turn the screw to the right, you tighten and therefore make the pitch go up. When you turn the screw to the left or counterclockwise, you loosen and make the pitch go down. The thing to watch out for with the fine tuners is that if it's tightened all the way and it looks like it's all the way down at the bottom and can't turn anymore, you're going to need to loosen up that fine tuner by turning it towards the left and reset it till it's up at the top of where it can be, and that way you can use your fine tuners. What I would recommend is to just do this with all of your fine tuners before you start tuning. I would reset all of them, get it to look kind of like this, and then start tuning with the pegs. Typically, more often than not, when your instrument is out of tune, it's below pitch and you need to raise it to get it to where it needs to be. What I'm going to do is show you what the names of the strings are and show you what to look for on the tuner when it's in tune, and then I'm going to untune the instrument and walk you through the whole process. Now, there are different ways to hold the violin while you tune, but for our purpose we're going to just stick with this positioning where the strings are facing you. And when the strings are facing you, from left to right, the sound is going from low to high. So from your lowest sounding string to your highest sounding string, you're starting at the left. The lowest sounding is G. The next is D. The next is A. And the next is E. This is what it looks like. I'm going to show you. If I'm plucking G, it should say G3. I'm looking D, it should say D4. A is A4. And then we've got E5. This is something you might want to write down so you know what to look out for when you're tuning. From left to right, lowest sounding to highest sounding, G, D, A, and E. Here we go. Holding the violin in front of you. So the strings are facing you. And we're going to start on the left side with our lowest sounding string and move in order from left to right. So when you're tuning the strings on the left side, you're going to hold the violin and support it really firmly with the right hand and have the thumb ready to pluck the string while you hold the peg with the left hand. It sounds really bad right now. This might be what your instrument sounds like right now. The G string, the first string that we're going to tune, is the bottom left peg. If you forget which peg goes to which string, just follow the string all the way up to the peg, and that way it'll show you which peg that you're supposed to be turning. Be careful with that. Be careful not to turn a different peg than the string that you're intending to tune, because then you might snap a string accidentally. So, bottom left peg is G. When I pluck that string, the tuner is saying something way off. My goal is going to be G3. The notes will move in alphabetical order. As you go up in pitch, it will go forward in the alphabet. And then the last note in the musical alphabet is G. So after G, the next note would be A. You're holding tightly with the right hand. You've got your thumb ready to pluck. You're holding the peg firmly and you're pushing in. And every time you make a tiny turn, you see that my hand is moving very slightly. Every time you make a tiny turn, you pluck the string. So push, turn, pluck. Watch the tuner. So after C comes D, and then E. I'm pushing. It might not be visible that I'm pushing, but I'm pushing the entire time. So I only have one more letter name to go up to get to G. I'm almost there. I'm watching out not to go to A, because A is one note too far. Okay, tuner's telling me G3. That's the note I need. The needle's not quite in place yet. So this is where I could use the fine tuner if I had one and turn it towards the right to make the pitch go up just a little bit more. You're probably going to need to go back and retune strings because they typically go out of tune when you tune the next one. So moving on to D. D string is the upper left peg. You're still holding the peg with the left hand at this point. You're still supporting with the right and plucking with the thumb. I'm at G. I need to get it to D. After G is A. B. Pushing in and turning a little bit at a time. Try not to go more than one letter name at a time. And the needle's almost to the center. I have to keep going up a little bit. If you have all of your fine tuners, you can stop turning the pegs and set it in place, push it into place, if it's just a little bit below pitch. That way you can finish the rest with the fine tuners and you don't risk going too far with the peg. Alright, so G is pretty close, D is pretty close. I'm going to move on to the other side. The next string over is going to be A, and I'm switching hands now. So right hand is turning the pegs, left hand is supporting, left thumb is plucking. Watching the tuner, everything I do, I pluck right after I do it. I'm at E, my goal is A4. Last note before A, so I'm very close. I don't want to go to B. B is too far. Still pushing. Don't let go before you've pushed in. I'm almost there. I just need to go a little bit further. There we go. Needle's still pointing a little to the left. This is where I can use my fine tuner now. Move it to the right. Makes the pitch go higher. But it only changes it a little bit. So A string is pretty close. I'm going to move on to the E string. This is the most delicate string. It is the thinnest of all the strings, so extra careful with this one. E string now is the bottom right peg. So A string was top right, the E string is the bottom right. Again, follow the string to the peg if you are unsure which one it is. Stopping to point something out. If your instrument has these little plastic little loops around the string, that is supposed to be lined up right in the slot on the bridge. Make sure that that's not just loose and buzzing around, or that's going to cause an annoying buzzing sound. Push and turn and pluck. I'm at A. My goal is E5, so B is next. C. Ooh, very close. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop, finish the rest of the way, turning my fine tuner clockwise. So if you can, stop slightly below the pitch that is your goal and tune with your fine tuner. Now, if I go back, pluck the other strings, they've already gone out of tune. So I have to go back and readjust those. hopefully you can just use a fine tuner to do this. There's G. That's close. Again, write this down, the string names, that this is your goal for the violin. For your lowest sounding string all the way to the left, it's G3. For your next string, it's D4. The one after that is A4, and then E5. This is what you want to see on the tuner when the string is in tune. You're moving in alphabetical order, so just follow the progression of the notes. When you're using your pegs, try not to move more than one letter name at a time. You're turning away from you to tighten and make the pitch go up. You're turning towards you to loosen and make the pitch go down. And you're pushing in as you turn, plucking every time you make a move. For your left two strings, you're holding with the right hand and turning with the left. G being bottom left peg, D is top left peg, and then you're going to switch hands. A is top right. You're going to support with the left and pluck with the left thumb and turn with the right hand, and then finally E string is bottom right. And your fine tuners, when turned clockwise or to the right, will raise the pitch, and when turned counterclockwise or to the left, will lower the pitch. So to be safe, when you're tuning with the pegs, you can stop just before the goal pitch and finish it out by moving the fine tuner. And typically, more often than not, when your instrument is out of tune, it's below pitch, and you need to raise it to get it to where it needs to be. So that's how you tune the violin.